got a moment. When they see you down, just know they love it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bounce Back. I'm your host Bobby. I got a couple special guests with me today. Why don't you just say your name and where you're from real quick for the people?
Solar born, Boston, North America.
Boston.
I'm Jacqueline Fonseca, Dorchester, Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, thanks for coming, guys. I really appreciate you pulling up. And you
Peace,
guys are
peace.
here representing an important movement. So why don't you get into what you're here for?
Oh, peace. Free fuquan. Free fuquan is the movement. We striving to free our brother who's been sitting way too long in their system, and he's much more of an asset to us. So we just striving to bring some awareness to our brother that we striving to get back to the streets.
And how long has he been down for now?
26 years, wrongfully convicted.
26 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. How has he been utilizing his time in there? Seems like he's been doing a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every day he's grinding. And most recently, we've brought to the public the Harriet Tubman project, which is one of the classes that he teaches at Mci Norfolk, teaching legal literacy to the incarcerated people, by the incarcerated people, really taking hold of their freedom by their own hands, not just waiting on the legal team to do it.
Wow, that's amazing. How long has that been going on for now?
2 years now.
What made him want to start that?
Well, he started with himself first, just
Okay.
realizing that his future just wasn't in his own hands when people was asking him, like, what's going on with your case? And he had to just keep referring to other people that was holding his life in his hands. He decided to take it upon himself. So really studying his case, studying the law, studying the language of the law. So people would meet him at the library to learn as well about their own case. And instead of meeting one-on-one, he's like, let's just build a class around it. So
Absolutely.
that's what he's striving to do, is teach others.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We need more of that, definitely, for sure. Solar Born, why don't you tell me about your journey that ended up intersecting with fuquan and why you decided to get involved with this?
Oh, okay. Peace. So my story is age 19, convicted of armed assault with intent in Boston, running around the streets, living the life. I was convicted of a shooting, sentenced to 15 years when I was 19, to which I met Fu when I was in Shirley Max, a whole bunch of serious dudes. At that time, I saw this lit brother who was totally unique from the rest of the population. And as I went on my travels of gaining knowledge of self and then striving to stand out in my own way, I had sort of a paragon of an example to be able to look at and see, and that's who we talking about. I've been home, wrapped up in July of 2013, so this is 10 years, and my brother's been there way too long and doing this all along. So many of us have come home, and it's just, as we realize we're here, we're realizing that we're not whole to some of our brothers who are part of us, that we grew up with in these systems, are back here with us. We can't truly appreciate our freedom all the way. So.
Jackie, why don't you tell the people how you got involved with this movement?
Yeah, for sure. So I am a real estate agent by trade, and I was very interested in providing housing for those that are coming home. Some relatives of mine, a cousin of mine, came home after doing 15 years and went right back in. And it hurt me because I wanted to help him, and I felt like I had the literacy to support him, but I just didn't have the resources and the people. And I understood that if you don't have a stable home, then everything else is unstable, trying to get the funds together to be stable, especially as a man. Mm-hmm. So I met Fu through his cousin, Beast, which you may or may not know. He's from Cambridge. Yep. And Beast has just been doing his thing as well. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of struggle. And me, I didn't come from a passive incarceration, but I came from foster care and just dealing with kind of raising yourself and learning how to get back into society. I just wanted to be able to support those that may need it more and just see how we could collaborate. So I met Fu along the work that I was doing, and the Harriet Tubman project just made sense. And re-entry was the piece where I got involved, and ever since then I've just been more focused on the free fuquan part, because there's so much more that fuquan could be doing out here than in there, which he's done so much. And a lot of the men that are coming home have really contributed a lot of their success to Fuquan's leadership and mentorship. But if he can do that from in there, there's so much more he could do out here. So we've really been prioritizing his freedom ever since.
Absolutely. So where it stands now, what are the next steps to get Fuquan home, to get him free? What are the next steps that have to be done?
Yeah, well, obviously legally that we have to go through that. But those that know him, writing a parole letter, recommendation for parole would be exceptional. Just showing the support that he has in the community, the resources that are available to him, and his impact on those to show that he's not a threat to society. But in addition to that, we started the Free Fuquan campaign online just to add on, not everyone can write a parole letter. So if you have any positive things to show or say about the brother, if we can just build up this platform digitally, when it comes time to show up to court, even people that don't know him will be showing up because of the impact that he has and will have in the community. So follow the page. That'll be something that anybody can do at Free Fuquan, and just spread the content that we put up, because the more people that know about him, the more we'll be able to really have those momentum going.
Absolutely. Would this be the first time in front of the parole board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When is that?
That's a great question. So one or two things is going to happen. Either the the juvenile age will get lowered, where those that are convicted to life without parole that are under the age of 20 will be released or have the eligibility to be released. So he was 19 when he was convicted. Either that's going to pass first, or all of the new evidence that he's found in his case will have an option to be reviewed.
Okay, and this is new evidence that they didn't have 26 years ago?
They had, but they didn't release.
So that's exculpatory.
Exactly.
Is that what they call that?
Yeah. Not to get too into it, because we're still trying to put the motion in, but absolutely. There was a lot of evidence that was withheld, a lot of corruption. So, just really being able to highlight all of that will give him a chance to fight his case from here, from the free world.
Yeah. So, like, my brother kind of is on the same board with the before 21 thing, so that's something too that I'm aware of, and let's pray and hope everything goes well. But there's more than just like hope. Sometimes I get caught up on like, what can I actually do? Like, what advice do you have for someone trying to take the next step, well, even the first step, to try to maybe start one of these campaigns?
I love that question, and that's where I was at. And generally, this is what happens. We be of the same mind, and I'll stop, and you'll give me the thought, right? So, there's this movie that's called Hurricane about Reuben Carter, and I seen it some years ago. And actually, me and I think Fuquan was together when we seen the movie. So, it just shines so much light on how a team could come together through individuals having an intense desire to bring somebody home. And I think for anybody, that'd be a start to watch maybe Hurricane and get a little bit, become compelled in understanding somebody going through this type of thing. And that might be able to give us some bodies of information on how we can look into work and how we can form a team like Ezra and them did for Reuben Carter. So just raising the awareness and the consciousness and letting individuals know, man, this is more in your backyard than you think. So people see the same thing happen to their uncles and their grandfathers and their fathers, and they want to join in because those people sometimes passed away or came home and they couldn't really fight it. So those children of those parents, man, they join in this campaign and assist us. We have many people in different places that can add on to the fight of raising awareness for the case or the new findings of legislative change. So, yeah, this is a dope time. But I think that movie is a great movie to be able to see what we intend on having be the end goal and getting bro home and not giving up. And you got the team out here.
You did quite a little bit of time, and you met tons of people. What about Fuquan stands out for you that like you can get behind that person? No. I've been beside that brother from the second. Like, there was no question. The divinity, and this is a cliche statement that you'll hear when in reference to bro, because he's the most divine that most people know. So when you hear the word divinity used, you're gonna hear a lot of people use that. Like, yo, I'm just respecting and paying honor to your divinity, son. That's what individuals will say.
But Fool's just a totally different person. He's a monk. He's an individual that hardly cares about himself. And he does care about himself. He loves himself so much to know that he's all about his people. He's a person that is fighting and truly understanding all of his people, somebody that cares and considers and takes time to get to know his people. So when these people are saying that they know him, this is not a person easy to get to know. It has to be a real exchange. So bro just is a genuine character that truly cares about his people, is a warrior that is reminiscent of individuals of the 60s. And he's truly from there. So like anybody who meets him just wants to get him home and understands that he's not supposed to be in a situation. We're talking about somebody who hardly utilizes profanity. I'm talking about amidst the most gangsters, and that's not because anybody told him that. That's because that's a code that he wrote for himself, how he wants to articulate himself and truly be seen to the world, from taking an idea to it being manifest. And each and everything he does can clearly be understood as that. So this is why you hear a whole bunch of people from our culture advocating for our brother being home, because he's much more of an asset to us on this side of the wall. And he's no liability anywhere, but he's definitely far more of an asset and an add-on to us out here who are fighting this great fight.
Another thing I wanted to touch base on too is I would see on the post the daily mathematics. Does anybody want to break that down and how that works and why do that on the daily, and why do you think people could maybe get something from that?
Sola can definitely answer that question for you.
Peace. So culturally, this God-centered culture that we live, a lot of individuals know as being 5%ers. Some people identify as being the gods or nation of gods on earth. There's many different names, but Allah's 5% is a culture, a God-centered culture, to which we check in daily, and we might say, what's today's mathematics? So basically, individuals letting you know what that day is and how they see that, the science for that day. So dealing with today. Today's the 30th, so today's the understanding, adding on a cipher. So 3 + 0 = 3. Understanding is the best part. It's the nutrients. After an individual has done the correct bodies of facts, studying other people expressing and seeing people express, after they've done the knowledge to themselves, they see the way that they can articulate their self in the way they want to express. And then it can be comprehended clearly from individuals to understand that thought, taking it through them wisdom, it walking and talking for you to see the picture of what they're striving to paint to you. After that goes off, your cipher, my understanding adds on to your cipher. You have a clearer comprehension of what we dealing with over here. That's just the mathematics that we deal with daily, and it's a cultural aspect that's very prevalent in the culture of the 5%.
Now we know what the movement is, right? Now Free Fuquan, and you said he could do more on the outside than the inside. What kind of things do you see him doing for the people when he gets out?
I definitely want to tap in on the question you asked earlier about what we could do to bring him home.
Absolutely.
So some of the things that the brothers from the Harriet Tubman Project have been doing is legislative work. So they meet with legislators from the city of Boston once a month to work on policy change, to put in bills. So the juvenile law, for example, that's a bill that was worked on the inside. The mass incarceration, we are joint venture. The joint venture theory, that's something that there's a group inside prison that's working on laws to change the legislative out here so that we that have the ability to vote and show up and testify for certain bills can go out and do so. So there's a lot of work being done by these brothers that Fuquan is really leading that. He doesn't take the credit most of the time. He's just doing things and he encourages other people to go up and speak, but he's behind a lot of these organizing work that's happening. So if he's able to help pass bills, write policy, put out reports on structural racism and things like that from a place where he's not at all encouraged to do so, there's actually retaliation by the Department of Corrections doing things like this. And he's fearless about it. He's fearless about being an abolitionist from modern slavery. So if he can be a free man, what more can he do? He's already helped so many people just empower themselves and see how they can be part of the law changing. Instead of, being scared of politics, educate yourself and see how you can integrate yourself into changing the law. So that's something that we can do by going out to testify when the state house is opening up its doors for people to come in, by voting, different things that we may feel powerlessness in. He's showing us by learning the law, we can learn how to use their own tricks of the trades to overcome a lot of the loopholes that are set aside for us. So that's just an example of things that he could be doing out here. His friends consist of DAs and legislators and mayors and all such sort of people that typically are seen as the ops. But he's learning how to advocate for those that are incarcerated, the people that are usually voiceless, and teach these people that are typically ignorant to the street knowledge and just have the book smarts on how they can work together to really make Boston a safer place, and eventually Massachusetts and so on and so forth. So, and mind you, he rarely swears, and so for him to be in a space that's so negative and you got the baddest, scariest men in Massachusetts, they respect him because he is not judging anybody. He's giving everybody the same opportunity and grace that they fell into this system, and showing them that the trap is literally a trap. So we got to stick together to get out of this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's not, you said you met him up the Max, but he's in Norfolk now?
Yeah.
And how long has he been in Norfolk?
I believe over 10 years now. I think this is the longest.
About that now.
Yeah, about 9-10 years he's been at Norfolk.
Okay, 9-10 years, okay.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of, you can get into a lot of trouble in there. Is he doing what kind of programs did he do? You said he was responsible for creating a program.
Yeah.
What kind of positive things has he been doing, just to add on to that, since he's been there? For
sure. So he's part of the AACC, the African American Coalition Committee, which has 9 departments, which include education, which is like entertainment, education, community civic engagement, and then legal, of course. But he's also involved in a group called Second Thoughts, where they mentor the youth that are out here kind of getting in trouble, and a number of programs. He's so busy facilitating programs. Of course, he went through and did everything the DOC requires him of, but he's always busy building something up, meeting with somebody, and organizing around.
So what kind of steps did he have to take to start facilitating programs? Was that a tough thing for him, or was it relatively easy? They were just like, yeah, sure, do what you want. I mean, how did that go?
I mean, it's not easy when you're bringing people together in prison,
Right.
because when you start soliciting, then they seem like, gang activity or what have you. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding. There's not any violence around him. If anything, he's curtailing that. And that's something that Sola can definitely vouch for firsthand. Whenever there is any, drama happening, he's usually in the middle of it, making sure that everything's peace. So they're going to give him the grace to hold program and bring people together. So over time, they had to fight for the spaces to be in the auditoriums to do the work that they're doing. But it's never been difficult for him to teach, because he's a wonderful student to begin with.
Added on to that, when we were together in about 2002, 2003 at Old Colony, we had a rush of a lot of young leaders that was there. Fuquan, myself, Born You, a few other individuals who are some, major leaders that came through Mass DOC. We was all there together at the same time, and we were getting vilified for having our lessons and the way we was teaching, and we began just leading by example at that time. There was no permission. We didn't ask for permission. Nobody told us could do it. We started taking over classroom time and doing that on our own. We had a lot of opposition, which we overcame, and what you guys are seeing now is like clearly the remnants of 20 years, 21 years ago, the work that individuals put on, and it's just catching up to out here. Fu has been steadfast with Second Thoughts, as Sis mentioned, and that's one of the most renowned programs in the whole Mass Department of Corrections, where youth come up from DYSs and the sorts, and they get mentorship from this program. The other program is the program that I did when I was doing my bid called Project Youth, and that was more so like suburban schools. Theirs is a little bit more urban, so Food's been involved with that in the AACC and AHC at Old Colony and Young Fathers this and Toastmasters that, all of these years. Pardon me. Never missing a beat. So if you ask like, what did he do? He just did the work. The chosen choose himself. He chose himself and began working towards those things, and hasn't waited for anybody to be able to give him permission about that, because he employs autonomy, which is self-governance, 100%.
Okay. So why don't you tell the people where, like, social media, where they can find the Free Fuquan movement on social media, and also why you think social media is important?
Yeah. So social media has been a great asset to us. I know in the beginning there was some skepticism as to whether or not social media was going to lead a movement. But in this case, we have people from Florida reaching out, California reaching out, people from all over want to add on and support. Or they're just like, yo, we're going through the same thing here. Or this law has passed over here that you guys are still looking to pass here. So we're able to kind of work alongside others that are oppressed to see what's working and what's not working. So from what I see, the social media has been a great contributor to this movement, because we have people that that he touched years ago that are just coming back like, hey, I didn't even know how to find him, because his name's Ricky Fuquan McGee. Okay. So some people know him just as Fuquan, some people just know him as Ricky. So for example, we have some youth that he sent out to Ghana, the AACC sent out to Ghana. They put their commissary money together and sent these kids out for a 2-week vacation to Africa. So they were sacrificing their meals, their telephone calls, what have you, to send these youth out. And because the social media platform was there, we had the brother reach out and say, I couldn't find him, but thank you. Now I know his name was Fuquan, and this is what he did for us, and sent the pictures and sent his own testimony. So just hearing the testimonies from literally around the world that he and other brothers from the AACC have touched, it's been very inspiring. And I think even for myself, I've never been incarcerated, but I feel like if they're doing all of that with what they have, I could be doing so much more. So really, when we read about slavery and we're like, oh, it couldn't be me, or I would be doing this or that, we're living that right now. Like, this is the history books are being written. So what part of history do we want to be on? So for me, I'm going to have the bullhorn, and I'm going to be, screaming loud and proud about the jewels, the diamonds, the people that I've forgotten that are incarcerated, men and women alike. So we have the IG, which is at Free Fuquan. We have the IG, the Harriet Tubman Project, which advocates for all incarcerated people that Fuquan started. And then we have the Facebook, Ricky Fuquan McGee, YouTube, and then the website, freefuquan.com. And when he comes home, he'll be taking over all of that, the freed Fuquan, and really pushing the Harriet Tubman Project, because what we're working on now is a civil rights investigation into Suffolk County misconduct. Because Fuquan is just a poster child for so many other Fuquans that have gone through what he's going through. And instead of only focusing on reform, we also want to focus on redress. Let's get the people out that are still going through this. So if we could use Fuquan's case as like a case study, and other people can use, the detectives and the people that were involved in this case and the corruption, that'll free so many more people, just like the Annie Dukin situation. So we have to dismantle the system, and not just taking one person out, but a whole many, many more. So that's his goal, is to really get this coalition started. So if anybody's interested, reach out to us at the Harriet Tubman Project at gmail.com, so we can get this coalition started and really put a civil rights movement behind this, because this is a violation of our 14th Amendment.
Absolutely. And I'm going to link all of that in the description on YouTube, so you guys can tap in. And one more time too, so the parole hearing coming up, and someone say they want to write, who do they address the letter to, and when does it have to be in by too, for the to help his parole situation? So
we're being very proactive, because right now we don't have a date. But on the Free Fuquan website and the Instagram and the Facebook, I have a template up of exactly the outline of how to write it, who to send it to, all of those details that people are asking. Or you can just email us at the Harriet Tubman Project at gmail to get further consultation on how to do that. But even if you can't write a letter, showing up in court, having that courtroom packed up, that will mean so much.
Okay, so stay up to date with the social media to get
Yes.
that exact date when it does come. And I know things do take time with that. Unfortunately, they're never in a rush when it comes to letting people out. I'll tell you that much.
And just real quick, that the character letter, if you had an interaction or you got to meet the bro or anything, or had heard anybody speak about him, share, witness character, those letters could go to the same place. You can send them to the same thing she's mentioned, the Harriet Tubman Project, and Free Fuquan as well.
Absolutely, and I appreciate y'all coming through. Here's your chance if you want to add any last things before I let you guys go. Anything you want to say? Here's your chance.
Yeah, just shout out to everybody that been freed, everybody that we striving to free, and all of the people that has added into it and haven't forgot they people behind, whether you came home, whether you still stuck, whether you returned to the essence of whatnot, we still fighting this fight. And just your peace to the people, the struggle continues.
For sure. I took off my jacket because I want to shout out G's for Gents. Slim, Darrell Weathers, and Kathy Kim from Alpha Omega. They put on a dope event this weekend called G's for Gents. And they sponsored it to Free Fuquan. So I got this shirt that says Free Fuquan on the back. And
Shout out to G's to Gents.
They went hard, a re-entry fair. But to be able to see people that don't even know Fuquan wearing a Free Fuquan shirt, it just shows like his reach has been so impactful. And again, if he's doing all this from prison, the brother's going to be doing so much more out here, especially for these youth that need it.
And that's the important thing. Thanks again for coming through. I'm Bobby. This is the Bounce Back. Thanks for tuning in. Run down the social medias one more time before I let you go.
At Free Fuquan, at Instagram, and then you can check us out at Harriet Tubman Project on Instagram as well. Thank you.
Right. Thanks again. It is what it is. What's next is what you make it. On that note, we out. Thank y'all.
Peace.
Bounce back and got a moment when they see you down this